at which those different tiers start, that's just a function of inflation. So you can sort of guesstimate those throughout the course of the year as inflation plays out, but the actual Part B base amounts and the surcharge amounts, you won't know until CMS announces those before the next year.
Something, Andy, that I don't pull out very often, but definitely with you, it's a good thing to pull out. You can't see it if you're on the show, but this is my geek hat. All right. I'm going to put my geek hat on. It just has a big G on it for those of you that are listening. For our next question, related to IRMAA. IRMAA is the potential surcharge on Medicare Part B and D if you earn too much money in 2 years prior to the year that you're incurring it. It can get very confusing. We don't need to go down the rabbit hole of IRMAA. But the question is a good question is, are IRMAA brackets for the surcharge established 2 years back? Like a good example, I can look at what the IRMAA surcharges are for 2024. So are you paying the IRMAA that's for 2024 when you're thinking 2 years in the future, or is it whatever the surcharges are in the year that you actually encounter IRMAA? So for example, in 2024, is it the 2022 income used to determine whether it's the IRMAA surcharge and the amount of IRMAA, or is it the 2024?
Yeah, I get the question, and I had trouble wrapping my head around trying to sort of verbalize for people how to visualize this. So let me just, maybe I'll start by saying how it works, and that may clarify the question, the process. In 2024, the amount of surcharges, if any, you have to pay for your Medicare is based on the income reported on your tax return in 2022. Now, what are the actual thresholds? This is where like the confusion in the question lies. When are those thresholds set? The question was, is it in 2022 or 2024? Neither. It's actually 2023. So what happens is in October, November 2023, that's when the CMS, which is Center for Medicare Services or something, or medical service, whatever, the government agency that oversees Medicare, that's when they established what the income levels will be that will apply to your 2022 income for purposes of your 2024 premium surcharges.
Totally clear. So in 23 is when they establish the thresholds for 22,
yes,
which is going to impact 24.
I think that's the right way to think about it.
What about the amount of the surcharge? Because that changes year to year.
Correct. That also is announced in that same October, November announcement from CMS. And the reason why they need to wait to do that is because the surcharges are keyed off of what the base premium amounts are. So Part B, for example, this year, 2024, it's what, $175, give or take a few cents. In October, November of last year, that's when CMS announced what the base Part B premium will be for 2024. IRMAA surcharges aren't willy-nilly just picked out of the air. It's a percentage of the base premium. I think the first...
So they got to wait till they know the base in order to do the percentage, and it's sort of...
And the income thresholds at which those different tiers start, that's just a function of inflation. So you can sort of guesstimate those throughout the course of the year as inflation plays out, but the actual Part B base amounts and the surcharge amounts, you won't know until CMS announces those in October, November of the, before the next year.
For 2024, the level for the first IRMAA surcharge is $206,001. If you look at the 2024 important numbers, we'll share that in our 6 Shot Saturday so you can have that document. That amount was actually established last year.
Correct, in fall of 2023.
Is my guess. This can be sort of important. These are tripwires. If you're $1 over, you're going into the whole whatever next level it is. And as a result, when you're trying to do some planning around this, give yourself some buffer.
Right.
Is essentially the question.
So common question maybe for people who are trying to plan their incomes in 2024, such as Roth conversions or taking taxable distributions from IRAs or whatever, they may be asking, well, what income amounts do I need to stick to not get into IRMAA territory? And the answer is we don't know. We're not going to know until fall of 2025. They will announce 2024 income thresholds for 2026 IRMAA amounts. So the best we can do is take what you just said, Roger, this year's, the $216,000 level, which is for married couples, not single. Single is half of that. And assume worst case, there'll be no inflation increases to that going forward. That's the limit you'd want to keep yourself to if you're trying to stay, not beyond that cutoff.
And this is totally an optimization question. If you're dealing with this issue, getting it wrong is likely not going to be devastating to your retirement. It'll be annoying.
Correct. Especially if you're over by a couple bucks, that'll really sting. But IRMAA only lasts 1 year. Every year they reset this process based on this rolling 2-year look back of your incomes. There's also some waivers we've discussed in previous shows about retirement is a waiver where you can get them to amend your reported income if you've since retired and things like that.
Okay, I'm going to take my geek hat off now.
You look so good,
Andy. With this hair. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. As always, we'll have you on here soon.
Thanks for having me. Always a good time.